Thank you very much. I do have a problem tonight because normally when I come to these events, I say my wife is on the way. Malcolm, bless him, has scheduled us right at the end of the show, so my wife is here. Now, when I was at 6 pence a share with Metal Tiger, I used to sleep in the house. And since the price fell to 3 pence, I'm now in the garden shed, and I've been promised that if we get to 5, I can move back in and sleep on the sofa. We get to 10, I can move upstairs, sharing a bed with one of the kids. And if we get to 15 pence, I can finally restore the marital relationship. So please, everybody, do your best. Buy the shares and move me back where I belong. Anyway, Michelle is here. If you want to ask any questions about the business, I would go for technical tungsten questions, anything to do with uranium she loves and that kind of thing, and see where you go. We live in a strange world. Some of the best projects that I've ever seen in my simple accountant's mentality are all around us, and the companies that host them and have them within their portfolios are valued at nothing. £1 million, £2 million, £3 million, all the way up to sometimes incredible projects in Canada that are just valued at £50 million. And I just know that time will come. It might take another year, another 2 years, another 3. When the £50 million company will be worth £2 billion. When the £2 or £3 million company will be worth £50 million. And tremendous gains will be made. But they won't be made by people who enter when all the main tabloids start publishing gold tips. They'll be made by the people who are sat in this room now and who are focused on the sector right now. Metal Tiger has had a bit of a journey. We've changed the business dramatically. We change all the time. We're adapting and developing all the time, so much so that this is our presentation. The problem is that when you print a presentation on a Thursday and come the Wednesday of the following week it has to change quite dramatically, you are in a bit of a quandary because you don't want to put something out there that could change quite significantly. So, for this occasion only, we've given you a notebook. Inside the notebook is a QR code. Does everyone know what a QR code is? Yeah, scan it with your mobile phone and it will link directly to our presentation on the website. The Spanish tungsten and gold presentation is on the website. You can write lots of notes, and on the inside cover we have a Metal Tiger stamp now, so we can stamp paper. We have gone up in the world. The reason why we got the stamp, by the way, is in Thailand when we were signing the contract, the chaps from Southeast Asia Mining, Metal Tiger Thailand, and from our joint venture partner, the vendor, they all produced stamps on the table. And Metal Tiger didn't have one. And we were the kind of odd ones out. So we have a Metal Tiger stamp in there as well. Tonight, it's not really me. I'm just very, very quickly running you through the intro. Then we have Nick O'Reilly, our competent person, leading the technical side of the presentation. There's our disclaimer. Don't believe anything either of us say. As we always say, just do your own research and please take care doing that. We're here to sell our stock to try and get you to buy. I believe passionately in Metal Tiger. My wife unfortunately knows that. We talk about it all the time. It takes up a dramatic amount of my personal time and disrupts my family life no end. But if it works, it leads us to a greater level of fortune than perhaps we could have had if we hadn't have done Metal Tiger. And to a certain extent, I do feel like the pair of us are in the business together. This is why we think we're investable. We think the resource sector is at a cyclical low or close thereto, is going to recover dramatically. We have a diversified portfolio based on 2 principles. One is investing in some of the biggest potential resource projects, helped along the way by our chairman Terry Grammer and our new chief technical officer Jordan Lockett, who help us to select the very, very best. We've been fortunate with Botswana. We've been fortunate with Thailand. What we haven't done is demonstrated to you the power and potential of our Spanish interests, and that's what we want to start doing tonight. People want quick returns in our marketplace, and the resource sector is not prone to delivering quick returns in the biggest projects. We think we found new ways of doing that so that our investors can share in the returns that we generate quickly. So as our business evolves in the coming days, weeks and months, you're going to start to see a little bit of a new Metal Tiger, demonstrating a new business model that will want investors to come in and hold shares. Because we've got some pretty big projects already. We want to share the value in those projects with all of our investors who hold the stock. We have two divisions, metal projects, as I've just described, and asset trading, generating returns that we can reinvest within our business. When we buy stuff through asset trading cheaply, we're called idiots. And when we sell that stuff that we bought cheaply for a much bigger amount, we're told that we're all sorts of different things. Some quite nasty names sometimes. But that's our job. We buy low and we sell high. Okay, here's our significant shareholders. Nice, diverse, spread shareholder base, which ideally is where you want to be at this stage in the market. Director shareholdings there and performance options. All of our options to management pretty much have been issued at twice the share price at the time of issue. They should not be issued at the share price right now. If you see companies do that, shoot them. We're at the bottom of the market. If you can't be aspirational and expect your company to go up 100% with hard work and effort from this stage in the market, that's wrong. So we double the price of our share when we issue options. There's the board of management, Mr. Grammer. Looks like Santa Claus, I'm sure you all know. I'm growing my hair like him. My wife says I can have a haircut when we get to 12 pence, for example. And if I dye it a darker colour, then I'll start to look like Michael. So that's no bad thing. Terry has a history of exceptional project selection, which is why he's there. Jordan backs him up, and from a practical perspective, he's exceptionally good on the day-to-day technical work in our business. Alex Borelli is my conscience. He is an incredibly capable man. And he has helped us all the way along this 2-and-a-bit-year journey in Metal Tiger. And I'm just an accountant, but I'm privileged to be working with some of the best people in our industry, either as advisors, as partners, because we have Alex from Spain here too, and all of those people that we work with on a daily basis. And if anyone wants to ask any questions of our brokers, they're in the room, also hiding away somewhere at the back. There's the fundamentals. The price is in a bit of a trading range at the moment. No doubt we're being shorted slightly because the city loves to do that. There's probably a couple of shorters in this room now, I would say. Yeah, one puts his hand up at the back there. Lovely. They're not the cleverest. And they're at the wrong stage of the cycle to be shorting, so they will get a bit of a shock. But we are building our business and diversifying and growing, and we intend to carry on. So if you're short, don't hang around. Metal projects, a summary of all of our projects, and now on to the very best bit. I have been delighted to have this man by my side helping me on a day-to-day basis in recent times from a technical perspective. He stays up till 1 a.m. and doing MOD resource work because they tend to send us the RNSs quite late because they are 8-9 hours ahead. And then he gets up at 6 a.m. in the morning to make sure everything is fine, and he's constantly working for us and helping us any time of day or night. His advice is exceptionally good, and he's going to take you through Spain. So, Nick O'Reilly.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks, Paul. As Paul said, I'm Metal Tiger's independent person. I'm helping out our joint venture partner today as well. Alex is here. So I'm going to tell you about Spain. If I get that right. So Logrosan project is about 40 kilometres due east of La Parilla that Michael told us about earlier. Unlike the previous two projects, this is an early stage exploration project. It's in the Extremadura region, in the Càrcer. As Michael said, it's a very It's very well supported in terms of infrastructure. It's a great place to do business. We've got total support of the local community there who have a history of mining. Within our license area, they were mining phosphates until the discovery in Morocco. Also, there are Roman Bronze Age workings within the area, and the exploration work has turned up many smaller scale mines as well. So the nearest town is Trujillo, and it's about 3 hours drive or so from Madrid Airport. Okay, so I'm going to run you through the joint venture details. The project is a 50-50 joint venture between Metal Tiger and Minerals Exploration Network Finland. Mineral Exploration Network is a UK registered company who also has gold exploration interests in the north of Finland. We originally entered the joint venture back in early 2015. Metal Tiger's commitment was to put 500,000 euros to earn 50% of the project, and all of that money was to be spent on exploration. No one made any money, no directors made any money. This is all cash in the ground. And then the joint ventures dictated that we had to do 5,000 meters of drilling with that work, as well as the assays and the various ground geophysics, etc., that went into helping to target that drilling. Then earlier this year, Metal Tiger decided to invest further into the company by expending another 500,000 euros to bring Maria. Maria is about 12 kilometers north of the main Logrosan project, and this is primarily a gold target. Again, the money will be spent on working the ground. There's a commitment to spend at least half of that money on investigating the Maria gold project, and then the rest of it will be put back into the tungsten, furthering the targets that I'll talk about shortly. Okay, so the joint venture license consists of 4 licenses and 1 current application pending. They cover all base metals and precious metals. They exclude radioactive minerals and coal. I mentioned radioactive minerals because about 40 kilometers to the north is Berkeley Energy's uranium project. So we're in a very prospective sort of part of the world. There's many interesting projects around. You'll notice that 2 of the licenses are coming up for renewal shortly, at the end of this year and in November. That's not a problem. In Extremadura, you're allowed to renew 3 times. There's a maximum 9-year life. So both of those projects that are coming up for renewal this year will be valid for another 6 years at least. At the moment, we've got 238 square kilometres under licence. If you follow the news, you will see that we did have a larger area previously. We're on an active ongoing basis. We cut down the ground based on the exploration results, so that we're not having to pay unnecessary costs for ground that we've discounted from an exploration point of view. So talking about the exploration process, this is an early stage project. It started at grassroots. To give you a bit of the history, our joint venture partner, Mineral Exploration Network, as I said, have been operating in Finland for seven or more years. They found that the Finnish winters was somewhat dark and cold, and they had a large team of very talented people there that weren't being fully utilised during those winter months. So they took it upon themselves to do a review of other countries in the Europe region, and Spain was deemed to be the most prospective. Alex went down to Seville, met with the professors in the university, in the geological department there, and they were introduced to two young geologists who I'm happy to say now work for the joint venture, who were commissioned with undertaking a prospectivity study of the whole of Spain. They deemed that Extremadura was the most supportive region in terms of bringing mines into production at this time. They also found that doing a historical review that there's a great case for actually centering exploration in this region. So that's the reason that Alex and his team came down to there, and that was about 18 months or so before the joint venture. They selected a number of license areas, and they did first pass exploration, which included sort of wide-spaced stream sediment sampling, heavy mineral analysis, and then targeting in on soil sampling, and then further honing down to ground-based geophysics, and I'll sort of go into that a little bit shortly. It's very much a kind of a low-cost approach. Every euro that is spent is considered, and no further investment decision is made until all of the results have been appraised. So you can see that we've gone from the exploration modelling right the way through now to through drilling, and I'll talk you through some of the results that we've had there. So as I say, that Alex is supported by now a core of 4 geologists, all of whom are graduates, two Spanish, 3 Spanish, and a Russian, and a British guy actually. Maybe there's 5 geologists now there at the moment. And there's also a team of 2 to 3 drillers helping out at various stages. So it's quite a large team. They've been incentivised by Metal Tiger due to their good work that they've done. They received shares for last year's work, etc., which they're very happy about. They're not overpaid, they're just glad to have a job at the moment. So in terms of the regional work, we start by doing the soil geochemistry on 200 metre spacing across the whole of the licence areas. That has amounted to approaching 43,000 individual samples across the Logrosan project now, and actually that number will increase because the guys are actually working there at the moment. The team also has their own geophysics equipment. We've got magnetometers and IP geophysics equipment, and we've done tens of kilometres of ground mag and IP, as well as hundreds of stream sediment samples across the area. And this ongoing exploration work is what we use to actually write off parts of the concession area or home in on targets. All of the samples are analysed on project using the project's own XOF equipment. That further cuts down the costs. Where we have distinct anomalies, we actually get that checked by submitting it to ALS laboratories in Seville. We also now are utilising Mineral Exploration Network's own ICPMS laboratory in Finland that further reduces exploration costs. With the reduced costs, it just allows us to do more samples for the given money. Okay, so all of this work has actually delineated a number of targets. At the moment, we're running 8 or so targets, of which 6 targets were deemed prospective at the beginning of the joint venture. So the first thing that Metal Tiger did when they came into this was agree with our partners which targets we should be focusing on, and which commodities, because there's many different showings across this area. So we decided that we would prioritise 2 tungsten targets in the first instance, and then move on to gold. So you can see here, this is the Zorita license. This is target 1 and target 2 were the areas that we decided to concentrate on first. Just to say a little bit about the geology of this area, because hasn't been a lot said about that. We're right in the middle of Spain. We're on the Hercynian Craton. It's very complex, both geologically and structurally. Our project area centres on a volcanogenic ring complex, that is volcanoes and intrusions and all the fractions associating with that. Broadly speaking, you have a wide corridor which is dominated by low-lying flat ground, which is hemmed in by mountains to the north. The structure, regionally from the geophysics, etc., we can see that most of the lineaments and faults are orientated in a northeast-southwest fashion, but complicating it, there's a large regional thrust structure which cuts across at right angles to that, and it's probably no coincidence that that we're getting a lot of anomalies coincident with that. So we took the view that we had a very large number of very valid targets, big land holding. We could either spend our limited funds on doing a relatively low number of RC holes. We could conduct trenching over the entire area, or we could think about doing something different. We did try trenching at the beginning, and that proved up that where we had tungsten soil anomalies, there were veins. So we found there's a good correlation with the soil geochem, and it was decided that the joint venture would purchase its own drill rig. This isn't the big sort of rig that you think about normally on an exploration project. This is track mounted. It has a mast 12 or 15 foot at maximum extension, sort of thing that you can put on a small trailer behind a Land Rover. They're currently being extensively used here in the UK as part of the HS2 rail project for soil investigation. So we bought the rig with the view that we would have a non-invasive, fast way of checking out the subsurface geology without having to make trenches or dig pits in an area that's dominated by farmland. Think beef cattle and the black pigs that make really nice ham, and you get an idea. So we've kept everyone happy. We haven't ruined the countryside. So typically the drill holes are average about 18 meters deep. The maximum we've got down is 47 meters. Typically, we're at the depth of penetration is constrained by the water table. We usually don't want to risk going far below the water table, because there's a risk that the rods will get stuck, and that will end up being expensive. So what we do, we're collecting chips, and the chips from 1 meter form a sample. Those are analysed on site, both using an XRF to measure for tungsten, and we're also using, we've got a little black room with UV lights to actually indicate the fluorescence of the scheelite minerals there. When we have proved intersections using those methods, then the samples are submitted to ALS, and with all the associated QA/QC that they do to verify those. So when you see results in our RNSs, they're actually ALS results as opposed to internal, but we use our internal kind of process to save costs and make sure we don't submit dead samples to the official lab. Latterly, we've also been drilling for gold. In that case, of course, XRF doesn't work. However, we have found that there are strong associations between gold and arsenic and other indicators on site, and so we use that and the lab facility in Finland to select samples that are then sent on again to ALS. Just talking about the tungsten targets. The centre of the Logrosan area here is dominated by this large hill, which is in fact a granitic intrusion. Our interpretation of the site is that all of the tungsten anomalies are associated with these intrusions, and there were probably blind intrusions below target 1 and target 2. And actually the regional geophysics sort of supports that. In terms of the two target areas, they're separated by about 12 kilometres between them. We started work there in April last year with the drilling, conducting what we call first pass drilling. So this isn't, we're not talking resource drilling, we're just confirming that there is mineralisation underneath the grass level. And we'll actually go back and follow up with other forms of drilling, in due course. So to talk about Zorita, so target 1, Zorita, is just this area. It is currently 1.2 kilometres by 200 metres in terms of the soil anomaly that we're investigating. 636 ppm tungsten in the soil there. We've drilled a total of 17 holes there on 2 profiles. So we've taken the view that we're not going to totally explore this area at this stage. We're just proving up that there is tungsten there. There's approximately 400 metres between those 2 profiles, and given the ground mag that we've got, we're pretty certain that we've intersected the same vein system in both of those, and we've got some fairly interesting grades here. We've got several samples that are actually above the ALS detection limit, which is at 0.63% tungsten. We've got an average of all the samples we submitted of 0.9%, and we've got great intersections here in profile number 1. We've got 10 metres at 0.24, and then 400 metres away we've got another 10 metres at 0.2. So this is looking a very interesting target. It needs further drilling. We'll probably go back in there with a RAB drill and delimit the north and south strike of this. It's currently open about 120 metres to the north and 700 metres or so to the south, and so we'll be doing that shortly, and then we'll take a view to carrying out RC drilling or diamond drilling as the case is made further down the line. So target 2, say this is 12 kilometres due east. This is 700 metres long by 150 metres wide in the central zone. It consists of 4 parallel vein systems. We've concentrated the drilling on the central vein system, but we've also explored farther out. What we're finding is that in the centre is where we're getting the highest tungsten grades, and as you move out to the south, either side, then the tungsten's dropping off. But we're getting tin and base metals coming in there too. So this again is high grade. We've got 400 metre separation between profiles, which are running 0.3% tungsten. And so what we'll seek to do is again go back in, do some infill drilling, and delineate the north and south of this so we've got a better feel for just how extensive the mineralisation is. So then just briefly moving on to the gold targets. We've currently got 4 active gold targets, 3 of which I will run through today. The most recent one is the San Cristobal South soil anomaly, which we put a note about a couple of weeks ago, and we've the other one, the main one that we've drilled so far is Maria. Maria, remember, is about 12 kilometres north of the main Logrosan project. So Maria is about a mile long and 500 metres wide in terms of the anomaly. It's got very good, very interesting grades in the soil. We're getting 4.6 grams a tonne gold in soil samples. So this is why the Metal Tiger were so interested in gathering this project into the joint venture. There's also very high levels of Antinomy. So far we've drilled about 1,500 metres of RAB drilling spread across the area on several different profiles. We have the moment the assay work is ongoing. We've published 1 batch so far. Within the next week or 2, we will be putting out further exciting news about this particular project. At the moment, our interpretation is that rather than large vertical veins, we're thinking from the results it seems to be a stockwork of narrow veins. Some of them may be subhorizontal. So what we need to do now is to go in, do some structural mapping work, and then take a view on whether we should be doing more trenching here and decide to do some diamond drilling so that we can actually get much farther down and work out what's happening, because from the RAB drilling we're just getting very fine dust and chipping, so it's difficult to work out the structure. Okay, so then we've got the El Seranillo gold target, which is just up here. So we're back down in the main Logrosan group of licenses. This is on the side of that mountainside where the ground sort of rises up, as I spoke about, to do with that thrust. We've got very good soil anomalies here, 1/4 gram in the soil, and we've done limited outcrop sampling across this area and getting 1.6 grams a tonne from chippings. There hasn't been any drilling here yet. I say it's fairly mountainous, so we will have to do probably start by doing trenching across this area and channel sampling, and then take a view as to whether we construct drill pads and where they should be sited. In terms of area, we're talking about approximately 500 metres by 500 metres, so it's a reasonable patch of ground, and we've done sieving of the dry streams which drain this area, and we're getting great gold, and analysis of those shows that it's near to source. And that work, as well as we're also doing some work over here at the moment, and that's ongoing, and we don't have any sort of results to talk to you about at the moment, but we will do soon. So Logrosan South is where the team is actually working this week. This is a large-scale gold in soil anomaly. Just to put it into perspective, this area up here is Tungsten Target 2, so it's a tail on that tungsten target. What we're thinking is that there's the blind intrusion under here, and there's some major fault structural lineament tailing off there. We've submitted samples from our soil analysis to ALS, and those have verified that we've got at least 2 kilometres of gold in the soil. Our joint venture partner has also been running the samples in Finland. Those samples have yet to be verified by ALS, but at the moment we can see that soil samples are down to a total length of 6 kilometres are containing gold. So that work is ongoing. As we speak, the guys will be doing more soil sampling down here, so we can just see how far this extends. That's over 3 miles long, so that's a very large target. So what we'll be doing is following the same model as previously. We'll be starting to RAB drill that. We will select profiles across it, and we will verify that there is gold mineralisation in the rock below those soil samples, and then use that data to make an investment decision on what we do next. And so, which brings us on to the project. So we've got several great-looking early-stage exploration projects here in Spain. We need to think what we're going to do. So one option is that we continue to invest in the generation of exploration targets in this wider region. We've talked about the projects that we have under joint venture with Mineral Exploration Network. What I haven't said is that they have a team of guys who are active in Spain, in this region, and farther afield in the country, who are generating further exploration targets and taking out licenses on an ongoing basis. And as part of our joint venture, we have first right of refusal on those. So we have a potential pipeline of projects that we can enter into at relatively low cost. Each one, of course, is by negotiation, but I think everyone will agree that we've got a very good partnership, and everyone would like to continue. We can, in terms of what we do next, we can prove up the individual targets. We can invest in RC and diamond drilling, take them to a stage, possibly a resource stage. We could take them to go through confirmatory drilling, so pre-resource, package those up, and then offer those for third-party joint venture or earn-in, and that would be relatively low-cost option for Metal Tiger. Also, we could offer them up for sale. Maybe W Resources would like to take one on. And another idea that we've got is that we could, with all these projects that we're proving up, we could spin those out into a separate portfolio with a separate listed vehicle, and Metal Tiger shareholders would get their right return from that. But at the moment, there's no hard and fast decisions. It's an ongoing process. the results of each stage of work dictate what the next stage should be, and Alex and Paul are very conscious of not wasting money. So that's about it.